Eventually, I worked on my way to become a creative contributor in Nike, in a group called Image Design Group. Image Design Group 代表什么啊？怎么讲故事？怎么把一个 idea share 给大家，然后大家会 understand 这个的 position 是什么？这个在这个市场上面，它跟人家的差别是什么 ？How to tell stories. At Nike, I learned the art of telling stories, which I later found out was very important in the world of business. I went on to join Microsoft. And the way I joined Microsoft was also another interesting story. In 1996, a friend of mine said, you know, 这个 internet, 你要去看一下。1996, 1996你们几岁？这个时候？很少。啊？3岁。OK， 好，我是20几岁了，这个时候。啊，他说 Internet is going to be big, it's going to be huge. Go and check it out. So I identified Microsoft as my potential employer. I drove up to, from Portland, Oregon, I drove to Seattle, and I went and met with a friend of mine who was heading the group, one of the groups, and I said, can I have a job? He said, you have a very good job at Nike. You're one of the design leaders, you should stay there because you have a very good career path. You don't fit here. I don't have a job for you. Then I went on to think, you know, I really want this. So I drove back to Portland, I quit my job, and the next Monday I drove back to Seattle at Microsoft. And I said, can I have a part-time job instead? Can I have a job just like the way I started my career? Can I have a part-time job, but I'll show to you that I can do things like nobody else can do it. Because that is the spirit it takes to take turns that are dramatic enough to change your life. There, I worked 10 years. I started working as on very, very basic projects. So you guys know mouses as optical mouse because you're young. For some of us older in the room, we remember mouses having a ball, and the ball was always sticky and with things stuck to it. Huh? And when Microsoft was the first company to use Agilent's optical mouse component, there needed to be a story. I got to be involved in that. I didn't design the mouse. I didn't design the top of the mouse, I designed the bottom of the mouse. It's kind of like saying, I didn't design this table, I designed the bottom of this table. Who cares, right? Who would have cared about that project? But I made it different. I made it red. I made it so that you picked it up and you looked at it and you went, oh, I get it, it's totally different. That was imaging. That was Nike's learning applied to technology. I went on to become the creative director of Xbox. Xbox 的故事不是这么简单。I was one of the guys, only guys that would take the project when it was coming through the studio. Microsoft 以前呢，会做有很多 bonus， 但是 bonus 呢永远会给谁啊？给出货最多的这个 employee，Windows 啊 ，Office 啊，来一个奇奇怪怪的 project，experimental。But the idea I loved. I didn't love it because it was a game console. I loved it because it brought technology to people's living room. It changed how people interact with each other, not only within that room and potentially across the world. With content, with relationship, it was something to be world changing. So I became the creative director of Xbox after persuading the initial startup team that I was worth the investment. Then right before it shipped, I was asked to go and think about Windows 2002. Windows 没有2002的 because it wasn't about that. Windows at a certain time was always having a blue screen of death. 你每一次按它就关掉嘛，按到然后死掉，按到死掉。2000年的时候，这个电脑没有现在这么好。But 2001, there was a breakthrough in hardware drivers that allowed the PC to stabilize. And I said, this is it. This is when the PC technology become relevant to people's lives. Not as just a tool, but as an experience. I was one of the few people, one of the 3 people that changed how Windows XP was positioned. 我有大概1000个这个 Windows flag 在这个我的电脑里面。I made a lot of different versions to tell the story. I came up with the word XP to tell that it is an experiential branding. Most people didn't know that. 叉 P 代表什么 ？Windows XP 代表 Windows Experience. I was the first one to also do contextual UI. My team and I, we worked very hard. 以前呢，你 double click 一个 content 呢，它不会知道你要哪一个 application， 它不知道你要干什么。以前你要 open 一个 application， 然后去 say open 这个 file。我们老一点的，我们知道电脑不是这么容易用以前。现在你们很舒服啊，你们按一个 music file， 他说你要 add to playlist 还是 play music 还是 share with friends。你按一个 picture 也知道啊，但你要 add to a photo album 还是做一个 slideshow 还是 print 这个 photo 嘛，对吧 ？That's contextual UI. Me and my team did that very early on. Changed the way people use computers. And then here, I will tell you another secret project I worked on. I'll tell you a failure project I worked on. In 2002, I started working on a project called GoPC. G-O-P-C. I really believed that technology would get so elegant and so small that it becomes a small device with a touchscreen that fits in your pocket. So in 2002, I built a little PC that can. A little PC that could do everything. Had a special UI on it. 好烫的，一直在，你知道吗？你要 dead battery life 不够1个小时 but it could do everything. That was my biggest failure project in my life. But I learned a really important lesson. Timing. Timing is everything when it comes to innovation in delivering technology. Timing. Timing 是关于 market ready ready, 你的 partner ready ready, technology ready ready, 消费者有没有 ready? 加起来才是对的。I would take that lesson and carry it for the rest of my life into other projects I work on. And then eventually, I wanted to work on that tiny little PC so much, I called up HTC. 很多人以为 HTC 找我 ，actually no， 我找 HTC。我跟周永明说 ，I want to be part of the revolution, and I believe that HTC have the ingredients to become the leader of the next mobile phone space. And at that time, in 2006, touchscreen was a very small market. 0.0001%这样子 Okay? What you know as phones today, you guys know a phone today? It was non-existent. A lot of my friends again told me, you have a very good job at Microsoft. You can retire. You can go to work every day for just 4 or 5 hours and have a very easy life. Why would you go do that again? I said, because I believe that the internet needs to be with you any place, anytime, anywhere. And I believe that I can make that happen. So I quit my job at Microsoft. Sounds familiar again. I quit my job at Microsoft and I went off to go join HTC, where I created the first 3G touch phone. That concept was actually way before iPhone launched. And then I went on, as we talked about a little bit ago, to create the first Android phone and the first customized Android phone that would eventually change the phone space. But a lot of people think I went to HTC to build smartphones. I did not. I went to HTC to put the internet in